Most people are imprisoned by what they care about, not by the things themselves, but by the intensity with which they hold them. They care so deeply about outcomes they cannot control that they lose themselves in the caring. They attach so completely to people, to circumstances, to their own expectations, that they become servants to these attachments, and in that servitude they mistake their chains for commitment, their suffering for love, their anxiety for concern. This is not living. This is a form of voluntary imprisonment where the person has become both jailer and prisoner. They have made their peace dependent on external conditions aligning with internal desires. They have surrendered their stability to forces beyond their governance, and then they wonder why they feel powerless, why they suffer despite having so much, why nothing brings lasting peace. The answer is simple but confronting. They have not learned the art of not caring. And before you misunderstand, this is not about becoming cold, not about becoming indifferent to life, not about detaching from everything that gives existence meaning. This is about something far more sophisticated. This is about caring without being controlled by the caring, about engaging with life without being enslaved by your engagement, about learning to hold things lightly enough that you can experience them fully without being destroyed when they change or disappear. If you recognize yourself in this description, if you feel the weight of caring too much about things beyond your control, then what follows is essential. This is not motivational content designed to make you feel better temporarily. This is philosophy. This is the practice that builds genuine freedom. Subscribe now if you're ready to understand what the Stoics knew, that mastering the art of not caring is not about feeling less, but about suffering less while living more. Stay with this. Listen carefully. What follows could change everything. The Stoics made a fundamental observation about human suffering. They noticed that people do not suffer primarily because of what happens to them. They suffer because of their judgments about what happens to them, because of their attachment to specific outcomes, because of their insistence that reality should conform to their preferences. And this attachment, this insistence, this desperate caring about things beyond their control, this is what creates the majority of human misery. Marcus Aurelius understood this deeply. He had everything a person could want by external measures: power, wealth, status, influence, and yet he wrote constantly about the necessity of not being disturbed by external circumstances. Not because those circumstances did not matter, but because making your internal peace dependent on them is choosing suffering. It is handing control of your mind to forces that care nothing for your well-being. Consider what happens when a person cares deeply about something beyond their control. A relationship, perhaps. They invest their sense of worth in whether the other person stays, whether they receive affection, whether the relationship meets their expectations. And in that investment, they have made themselves vulnerable. Not vulnerable in the healthy sense of openness, but vulnerable in the sense that their internal state is now controlled by another person's choices, feelings, behaviors. They have given their peace away. And they will suffer in exact proportion to how much they have given. This is the mechanism. Attachment creates dependency. Dependency creates vulnerability. Vulnerability creates suffering. Not because the external thing changes or disappoints. External things always change and often disappoint. But because the person has made their internal stability dependent on external stability. And external stability does not exist. Everything external is in flux. Everything changes. Everything is, to use the Stoic term, indifferent. Neither inherently good nor bad, but simply what it is. The art of not caring is the art of recognizing this, of seeing clearly that you cannot control what happens, you can only control your response to what happens, that you cannot make other people behave in ways that serve your peace, that you cannot force outcomes to align with your preferences, that you cannot prevent loss, change, disappointment, or any of the inevitable disruptions that come with being alive. And once you see this clearly, truly clearly, you face a choice. You can continue caring in the old way, attaching your peace to things beyond your control and suffering the inevitable consequences. Or you can learn to care differently, to engage fully while holding lightly, to prefer certain outcomes without needing them, to love people without making them responsible for your internal state. This distinction is crucial. The Stoics did not advocate for apathy. Seneca loved deeply. Marcus Aurelius cared about his duties, his family, his empire. Epictetus cared about his students and his teachings. But they had learned to separate their caring from their peace. They could care about things while remaining internally stable, regardless of outcomes. They could be disappointed without being destroyed. They could lose without losing themselves. This is what most people fail to understand. They think that not caring means becoming cold, becoming indifferent, becoming someone who experiences nothing, but that is not detachment. That is numbness. That is a different kind of prison, the prison of someone so afraid of suffering that they refuse to engage with life at all. Real detachment, Stoic detachment, is warm, it is engaged, it is fully present, but it has released the desperate need for things to be other than they are. It has stopped making peace conditional on circumstances. It has reclaimed internal authority from external forces. Watch a person who has mastered this art. They move through life with a quality that others struggle to name. They care about their work but are not destroyed by setbacks. They love people but do not cling. They pursue goals but are not paralyzed by the fear of failure. They engage fully but remain internally free. And this freedom, this capacity to experience life without being enslaved by experience, this is what everyone seeks but few achieve. The reason few achieve it is simple. They have not learned to distinguish between what is within their control and what is not. This was Epictetus's central teaching. Some things are up to you, your judgments, your responses, your character, your effort. Most things are not up to you, other people, outcomes, circumstances, what has already happened, what will happen in the future. And making your peace dependent on things not up to you is the definition of foolishness. Yet this is exactly what most people do. They care desperately about whether they succeed or fail, forgetting that success and failure depend partly on factors beyond their control. They care intensely about whether people approve of them, forgetting that others' opinions are not theirs to govern. They attach their identity to their circumstances, forgetting that circumstances change constantly. And then they suffer, not because they are weak, but because they have made a fundamental category error. They have placed their peace in the wrong category, the category of things beyond their control. Modern life intensifies this error. The culture teaches attachment from childhood, attached to achievement, attached to status, attached to appearance, attached to being liked, being successful, being someone who matters by external measures. And these attachments are reinforced constantly through social comparison, through metrics, through the endless performance of self for validation. The result is a population of people who have outsourced their internal state to external conditions and then wonder why they feel so unstable. Consider how this manifests in anxiety. A person is anxious not because something bad is happening, but because they are attached to something good continuing or something bad not occurring. They care so much about a particular outcome that the mere possibility of a different outcome creates suffering. They have made their peace conditional on the future, aligning with their preferences. And since the future is beyond their control, they have chosen anxiety. Not consciously, perhaps, but through the mechanism of attachment, they have created the conditions for their own suffering. The same pattern appears in relationships. A person loves someone and immediately begins fearing loss. They care so deeply that the caring becomes a form of grasping, They need the person to stay, to behave in certain ways, to provide specific forms of validation. And this need corrupts the relationship. It turns love into a transaction. It makes presence into performance. It creates suffering where connection should exist. Not because love is the problem, but because attachment has poisoned the love. Or consider attachment to identity. A person builds their sense of self around being successful, being strong, being someone who never fails. And then when failure comes, as it inevitably does, they experience not just disappointment, but existential crisis. Because they have attached their worth to outcomes, they experience a loss of outcome as a loss of self. They have made the category error of confusing who they are with what they achieve, and that confusion creates profound suffering. The practice of letting go addresses all of these patterns. It begins with clear seeing, with recognizing where you have made your peace conditional, where you have attached your internal state to external conditions, where you are caring in ways that serve your suffering rather than your well-being. This recognition alone is difficult because most attachments feel justified. They feel like love, like ambition, like responsibility. They disguise themselves as virtues while functioning as chains, but once you see them clearly, you can begin the work of releasing, not by forcing yourself not to care, but by examining the caring, by asking, does this attachment serve me? Does making my peace dependent on this outcome create the life I want? Can I care about this without needing it to be different than it is? Can I engage fully while remaining internally free? These questions, asked genuinely, begin to loosen the grip. Because attachment, when examined, reveals itself as irrational. It is the attempt to control what cannot be controlled, the insistence that reality conform to preference, the refusal to accept what is in favor of demanding what should be. And when you see this clearly, the absurdity of it becomes apparent. You begin to realize that you are suffering not because of what is happening, but because of your resistance to what is happening. Marcus Aurelius wrote that you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you find strength. This is the principle. Your power lies in your response, not in the circumstances. In your judgment, not in the events you judge. In your capacity to accept what you cannot control and direct what you can. And the primary thing you can direct is your own caring. You can choose what to attach to and what to release. What to make essential and what to treat as indifferent. The practice itself is straightforward but demanding. When you notice attachment, when you notice that your peace depends on something external, you pause, you observe the attachment without judgment, you feel the fear or desire that drives it, and then you ask, what is actually within my control here? What can I influence and what must I accept? And you redirect your caring toward what you can control, your effort, your character, your response, while releasing your grip on what you cannot, the outcome, others' reactions, circumstances. This does not mean you stop wanting things. You can prefer certain outcomes. You can work toward goals. You can hope for the best, but you no longer make your peace conditional on receiving what you prefer. You engage with life fully while remaining internally stable, regardless of results. You care deeply, but not desperately. You invest yourself without making yourself hostage to return on investment. This is freedom, not freedom from circumstances. Those will continue to rise and fall as they always have, but freedom within circumstances. The capacity to remain at peace, regardless of what happens, to experience disappointment without being destroyed, to face loss without losing yourself, to endure difficulty without collapsing into victimhood. This is what the Stoics practiced. This is what they taught. And this is available to anyone willing to do the work. The work is not comfortable. Letting go rarely is. There is grief in releasing attachments you have held for years, even when you know they serve only your suffering. There is fear in no longer making your peace dependent on external validation, even when you recognize that validation is unreliable. There is a strange emptiness that comes with releasing the familiar patterns of grasping and clinging, even when those patterns have brought only anxiety and disappointment. But on the other side of this discomfort is something profound. It is the discovery that you do not need what you thought you needed, that you can be at peace without everything aligning with your preferences, that your internal state is within your governance regardless of external conditions, that you are, in the most fundamental sense, free. Seneca understood that this freedom is the only freedom that matters. You can have wealth and be imprisoned by the fear of losing it. You can have status and be enslaved by the need to maintain it. You can have relationships and be trapped by the terror of abandonment. Or you can have or not have these things and remain free. Free because your peace does not depend on them. Free because you have mastered the art of caring without being controlled by caring. Free because you have learned to let go. This is not the absence of caring. This is the perfection of caring. Caring that is clean, direct, unconditional. Caring that does not demand reciprocation or specific outcomes. Caring that can survive disappointment, loss, change. Caring that comes from fullness rather than need, from choice rather than desperation, from strength rather than weakness. And this caring, this detached engagement with life, allows you to experience everything more fully, because you are no longer defending against loss, no longer bracing for disappointment, no longer consuming the present with worry about the future. You are simply here, engaged with what is, responding with wisdom rather than reacting with fear, present rather than scattered, whole rather than fragmented. This is mastery, not control over external events, that was never available, but governance over your internal state, the capacity to remain stable regardless of circumstances, to care deeply without suffering unnecessarily, to engage fully without being enslaved by engagement, to let go of what cannot be held without becoming cold or indifferent, to be free. The path is clear. Examine your attachments. Recognize where you have made your peace conditional on things beyond your control. Practice redirecting your caring toward what you can actually govern, your judgments, your responses, your character, and slowly, through consistent practice, learn to hold everything lightly, to prefer without needing, to hope without requiring, to love without grasping. Some days you will succeed. Some days you will fall back into old patterns of attachment and suffering. This is natural. This is the practice. What matters is that you continue, that you keep observing, keep releasing, keep choosing freedom over the familiar comfort of your chains. The Stoics knew this path. They walked it themselves. They left us the wisdom to do the same. The question is whether you will have the courage to let go, to stop caring in ways that serve only your suffering, to master the art of not caring, not through coldness, but through wisdom, not through indifference, but through freedom. The choice is yours. Make it, and then practice, day by day, attachment by attachment, until you discover what they discovered, that peace was always available, that freedom was always within reach, that you needed only to release your grip on what was never yours to hold.